And she's president of the...
You're watching the USA Network.
What's going on here?
Nothing, officer.
Sheriff, ma'am. Sheriff Floyd C. Beauregard. Now, if there's nothing going on here, why are you sitting in this car all by yourself in this hot sun?
Because the car ran out of gas, and so the driver had to go get help.
You're gonna have to come up with something better than that, ma'am. I've heard them all. You see, we got a lot of people stop here in these nice country roads to do some things that are not so very nice, like people stopping to rendezvous with other cars for sales of certain illegal substances. You get the gist of what I'm saying, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you could very well be a contact.
I am waiting for my driver to come back.
Yes, well, in that case, why don't we just satisfy the curiosity of Sheriff Floyd C. Beauregard and check out all of your luggage, ma'am. Let's start with this piece.
Wait a minute, you can't do that.
I'm a sheriff, Sheriff Floyd C. Beauregard, ma'am, and that entitles me to do as I wish.
But you don't have a warrant.
You are absolutely correct, ma'am. So why don't we just go down to the station house and take care of this nice illegal?
No, I am not going with you. You have no reason to arrest me.
Well, in that case, I will have to continue with this search, ma'am. Let's have a look here. What do we got? What do we got? Bonds. Bonds. Millions and millions of dollars in bonds. Could that buy a lot of hashish, marijuana, and all them other certain illegal substances? Oh! Ah! Ah!
I tell you she was going to come in and read you a story? I think you thought I was kidding him.
Oh, Mommy, is that the new book?
Yes, this is the new book. Aunt Jody brought it from Penny's Playroom for you.
Oh, the magic words. That's all he's been talking about is Aunt Jody and the TV show.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll get to go on there yourself.
Oh, Mom, can I please?
I don't know. We'll talk to Aunt Jody about it. But first, what I need for you to do is to read this book and tell me exactly what you think about it, okay? Because Aunt Jody says that if you like it, then maybe the other kids on the show will like it, too.
Oh, how do you like that? 6 years old and already a book reviewer.
Oh, this is where you're all hiding.
Yeah.
Hey.
Beautiful.
Hi.
How are you, Tiger?
Fine. I got a new book from Aunt Jody.
Really?
I mean, fine.
Well, that's good. Isn't it nice to have an aunt in show business?
Yeah, well, yeah, so we've got some toothbrushing business to take care of right now, huh, Adam?
Okay, well, you do that first things first, and then I'll come back and I'll read this to you, okay? And you give me your opinion.
We'll see you later.
We'll just leave the book here, okay, and we'll go and brush your teeth. We'll be right there.
Okay.
Oh, about my usual quotas. Good day at the hospital. Mrs. Melton's making a fine recovery.
Oh, good.
About 8 patients at the office, and fairly interesting lunch hour.
Yeah, who with?
Me, all by myself. I had a quick salad, and then I took a walk over to the Endicott Gallery.
Oh, my, we certainly are becoming art lovers all of a sudden,
I
aren't we?
had an idea. You know that painting that Jody mentioned to us that she had seen?
Yeah, the still life. She said it was the only one she liked.
Well, it was easy to find. It's probably the only recognizable subject in the gallery. I thought I would take a look at it and see if it might make a nice birthday present.
Oh, Miles, it is getting near that time, isn't it? What'd you think?
Oh, painting. Painting was fine. Very pretty.
Oh, good, because Jody thought so, too.
The price tag was ugly, however. $2,500.
Oh, my word, remind me to stay out of that gallery.
The Endicotts admit it was overpriced. The artist apparently just flexing his own ego.
Excuse me, Mrs. Kavanaugh. Adam is ready to be entertained.
Oh, well, I'll be right up.
Okay.
You can go ahead and start dinner if you want.
All right. Oh, are the kids going to be here?
Yes, they'll be here. They're visiting with Geraldine Saxon right now.
I hope she doesn't fill them up with too many hors d'oeuvres. Oh, I almost forgot. A package arrived for Jody just before you came home.
Hand delivered.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe it's from the studio. Something to do with her show?
You know what I think this is? I think this is another painting.
I knew Kelly McGrath had good instincts, and he certainly proved it by hiring Jody for the playroom.
She really is great with the kids, isn't she?
And I love the job. I just feel guilty. It doesn't seem like work at all.
I think Jody also feels guilty because she's working and I'm not.
No, Mrs. Saxon said she has some ideas about that, right?
Yes, that's why I asked you to come here. Although I don't have anything specific in mind.
I knew.
Gavin, Jody tells me that your ambition is to direct in the theater.
I guess I've been heading in that direction, Mrs. Saxon. I started choreographing, as you know.
Yes, and you were quite successful.
Well, only in a minor way. I never got any full credit for a major production. I had no credits at all in the theater.
See, the problem is there aren't any theaters in Monticello.
Yes, it's not the ideal city for a budding director, is it? I suppose you've thought of going out of town.
It's crossed my mind.
I crossed it out. I don't want him to leave.
We really don't want to be separated.
Then you shouldn't be. No, I was thinking of something that would only separate you for brief periods of time.
What is it?
Well, directing a play isn't really a full-time job, is it? I mean, a person is hired to stage a play. That usually lasts a few weeks, and then the job is finished.
Well, yes, it's like a dance company.
Gavin, I have some friends who produce for dinner theaters, regional theaters, that sort of thing. Perhaps if I contacted them.
Well, that'd be really great, Mrs. Saxon.
You might be the very person they're looking for, especially when they're staging musicals.
You know, maybe I could even go with you sometimes.
Ah, now you have a job, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Hello. Oh, yes, I've been expecting your call.
I hope you thought about the conversation that we had at your studio, Mrs. Saxon.
Yes, I've thought about it a good deal.
Well, I'm very anxious to get together with you and speak about Jeff Brown. It's very important to me.
Very well. I'll be free in about an hour, if you'd care to drop by then.
I'll be there. I'm going to pick your brains, Aunt Geraldine.
God, I can't believe it. I stole a car. Wait a minute. I thought this gas tank was supposed to be empty. I'd be driving a car with no gas.
Yes, you're as curious as I am about it.
Do you suppose Jody went out and bought one on her own?
Well, I don't know. She could have. She's a working girl now.
Well, yeah, well, working girl is going to have to learn how to use her money. She blew her whole first week's salary on that antique cameo.
Yeah, but I doubt very much she's going to spend $2,500 on a painting.
She better not have. Well, our curiosity's about to be satisfied, isn't it?
How was your tea with Geraldine?
Oh, it was nice. She's a very thoughtful lady.
She sure likes Jody a lot. Half the time we were there, all we kept talking about was what a great find she is for the Penny Playroom.
Well, what about the other half of the time?
That was about Gavin.
Well, you don't seem too pleased.
No, I am. Geraldine might help Gavin find a directing job.
Oh, Gavin, that's terrific. Where? WMON?
No, it's a theater job. Not Broadway, a regional theater or some dinner theater, you know, something like that. She has some influential friends in the business.
Geraldine has a lot of influential friends.
Why are you two looking so depressed about it?
Jody doesn't like the terms of employment, if it happens, and neither do I much.
See, if Gavin does get this job, it's not in Monticello.
Oh, I see.
Well, you see, it wouldn't be permanent. A job like directing only works for a few weeks, and then it's all over.
Well, then what are you so worried about?
I don't know. I'll miss him. That's all. I miss him already.
Why don't you have a job yet?
Well, I don't know if this is going to cheer you up, but if you were wondering what I'm holding, this came for you this afternoon.
Hey, what is it?
Great willpower we did not find out on our own.
We think that it might be a picture.
Another painting, maybe?
Why don't we end all speculation? Why don't you open it?
Okay. Well, it's the painting I saw at the Endicott Gallery.
No, don't look at me. I didn't buy it. I thought about it until I heard the price.
You don't suppose they misunderstood you, do you?
No way.
You mean you were going to buy this for me?
Wait a minute, Jody. Look, there's a letter or something on the back.
Let's see what it says. Can't believe this.
Well, what does it say?
Well, it's from Grace Endicott, and it says, Dear Jody, we knew you liked this painting, and we talked to the artist about reducing his price.
But I sent it
He
you.
adamantly refused. Well, wait a second, there's more. When he heard about you and that it was your birthday soon, he insisted that you have it absolutely free.
Free?
$2,500 down to zero. That's what I call deflation.
Sounds too good to be true.
Wait a minute. Who is this artist who's so generous?
Well, the Endicott's mentioned a name. I can't. Did he sign it?
Well, I don't... Can you read that?
Looks like it says Sutherland, whoever that is.
Thank you.
I hope you realize that my willingness to talk to you about Jefferson Brown is in no way an indication that I have accepted your story.
Yes, I realize that, Mrs. Saxon. You made it quite clear.
I must say that it's extremely awkward for me to be sitting here looking at my nephew's face, unable to address you by the name you have given yourself.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't... I realize that it must be difficult for you. Valerie Bryson found it difficult as well. Do you know her?
Yes, I know Valerie.
Well, it was she who convinced me that your so-called nephew was really my old friend, Jeff Brown. I realize that you don't like hearing that, but I think it's important that you should know why it's so important to me to find out as much as I can about Jeff Brown, more than I already know.
What I don't understand is Valerie's connection.
Well, I knew her in St. Moritz, and she also knew Jeff Brown.
Go on.
She probably will tell you this sooner or later herself, so I'll brief you on it. She asked me some questions. She tested me with questions about that time, and as it turned out, I failed her exam.
Which proves what?
Which proves that Jeff Brown had a better memory than I.
It might also prove that you...
That I am the fake and not he. Well, no, I'm convinced that just the opposite is true. That Jeff Brown listened very carefully when Valerie talked about her famous father. And that he survived the plane crash, and that he used Dr. Bryson's skills.
Really? This is quite an incredible story.
Well, I came here to listen, not to talk.
Very well. I'll tell you what I know about Jefferson Brown. I never met him. But I knew the man he worked for, Fowler Wilcox. Fowler had an extremely sensitive job in Washington, in the State Department. And one day, some very important and confidential papers turned out to be missing.
Are you suggesting he was a spy?
There were some people who thought that it was your friend, Jefferson Brown, who was responsible.
You know, it fits. Jeff was hinting about secret documents and espionage, things like that. I thought he was trying to convince me that he was with the CIA.
I know someone who hasn't the slightest doubt about Jefferson Brown.
Who would that be?
A man with a personal bias, and he'd be the first one to admit it. His father was Fowler Wilcox.
Well, did he know Jeff Brown?
No, but he was obsessed with him. And he was absolutely determined to prove Jefferson Brown's guilt. His name is Damian Tyler. He's a detective with the Monticello Police Force.
Sid's Tavern. No, Mrs. Hinkle, I haven't seen him in here today. Yes, yeah, yes, I will. Right. Whew. This place is turning into the neighborhood message center.
That's your own fault, Sid.
Well, I guess it is, but some people got a lot of nerve sometimes.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm waiting for a phone call myself.
Oh, yeah? Who's the lucky lady?
Oh, I wish. No, it's Smiley. I told him I'd be here tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where is Big Brother tonight?
Well, I guess you could say he's out on the road. drumming up business.
Oh, is he still seeing that new friend of his? What's her name?
Nora? Hey, I don't think that's anything serious, Sid. But then Smiley doesn't get too serious if he can help it.
You're telling me. Sid's Tavern. Well, speak of the devil. Yes, he's right here.
Thanks. Smiley, where are you?
I'm in a phone booth getting sick.
What are you talking about?
Well, I can't believe what happened. I really don't believe what happened. I don't.
Smiley, calm down. Tell me. What happened?
Yeah, I'm playing the cop, right? The sheriff, okay? Well, I go to check out the lady's luggage, and I turn away for 2 seconds. I turn back, and a pound of face powder hits me right in the eyes, blinds me. I can't see a thing, just like in the movies. She gets in the car and splits. I go to the bike, and it won't start.
God, you mean she got away?
Hey, you ready for that? I mean, her car is supposedly out of gas. My bike won't start.
She's on the loose. Smiley, you gotta do something, and quick. She could find out the truth now. That'd blow the whole scam.
Hey! I know what to do. What is it with it? Hey, look, she's gonna stop off somewhere on that road, and when she does, I'm gonna find out. Boy, when I do, Hecko. When I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like a room.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, ma'am.
I would like a room. What do you think? I want a train ticket?
Okay, just sign the book. It's Charlotte Webb. Now, you don't have to pay in advance, Miss Webb. The rate's $25.
Okay. Could you change a $500 bill?
Why would an artist give his painting to someone he hasn't even met?
I have a theory.
I'd love to hear it.
Me too.
I think maybe the Endicotts were responsible.
The Endicotts? What do you mean?
Well, I hope this doesn't sound petty, but you remember how disappointed they were when you wouldn't sell that portrait?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they thought they could get you to reconsider if they gave you this painting for free.
If that's a strategy, it's not going to work. Jody loves that painting too much.
And so do I. As a matter of fact, when are you getting that back from the gallery?
In a couple of days, just as soon as it's been researched. But you're right. I do want it back. The sooner the better.
Mary Morgan.
Network.
I can't help it. I just don't like the idea of you having to go out of town for weeks at a time.
What are we worrying about? Nobody's made any offer.
Yeah, but that's what Geraldine suggested.
Jody, all Geraldine suggested was that she would talk to some people she knows in the theater. The odds against them giving a job to an unknown director are tremendous.
You're not that unknown. And besides, if Mrs. Saxon recommends you, they're bound to listen.
Well, I certainly hope you're right. I have to start paying rent soon.
What do you mean, rent?
Well, there's something I didn't tell you. Yesterday, I spoke to Calvin about maybe sharing his apartment with him.
But you have an apartment right here.
Yeah, but this is a little shabby and cramped for a famous director.
Kevin, be serious.
I am serious, Jody. I feel guilty every time I wake up in that posh bedroom, come down here and served a great, big, nice breakfast by Mrs. Goodman, sit out here and look at all those poor people going to work.
Well, so get your own apartment when you make a lot of money.
I'm not going to kid myself, Jody. I'm not going to make a lot of money for a long time. I think this is really the best thing to do.
Well, I guess it had to happen sooner or later.
As I said, it's only going to be a little while at Calvin's place, until his wife gets back from New York.
Star has been away for months now.
Yeah, but sooner or later, that show's got to close. Maybe by that time, I'll have enough money to live on my own. Come on.
There's just been so much talk about separation lately. First, you're gonna work out of town. Now you want to get your own apartment.
Hey, we're never going to be separated. Didn't you know that?
Oh, everything is decided by money in this world.
Yeah, no matter what people say, money does matter, especially when you don't have it. Well, you could have struck it rich. All you had to do was say yes to Dwight Endicott, and you would have had $10,000.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't want to sell the painting.
Even after he gave you that nice still life that you liked?
He didn't give it to me. The artist gave it to me.
Well, I still think it was a little arm twisting to get you to change your mind.
Well, it won't work. Because I love that portrait, and I'm never going to sell it. I think I better get that. I'm coming. Hello? Oh, hello, Miss Endicott.
Jody, listen, I'm terribly sorry to call so early in the morning with bad news. Well, I just got into the gallery about 10 minutes ago, and I can't believe it. Well, we've been broken into. There's obviously been a burglary. I'm not sure how many of the paintings have been stolen, but I do know this. One of them was your portrait.
Good morning, Derek.
Hey, Mike.
Well, what does one say to a man who's just returned from his honeymoon? Somehow, welcome back doesn't seem appropriate.
You're right, it's not appropriate. I'd much rather be where I was.
You should have stayed away longer. 2 weeks is the absolute minimum, you know.
Yeah, well, I would have, but my bride practically chased me back here to work.
Now, why would Jinx do a thing like that?
She knew I wanted to come. I wanted to be here to make sure one of my officers gets a fair hearing.
Oh, yes, I knew you'd be concerned about Damien's predicament.
Yeah, well, that's not the excuse she gave. What did she say? She wanted to get out of the honeymoon phase and settle down into real married life.
Sounds like she's a very happy woman.
She is happy. And she's remarkably well.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear that.
You know, I don't know if this is just psychological or what, but she swears that she has been miraculously and mysteriously cured. I can almost believe it to look at her. She looks so full of life. She's so full of confidence.
Will she be seeing Miles?
She's resisting that, though. I think she's afraid of having her good intuitions come face to face with some contrary facts.
Yes, I understand.
We're staying at my place, you know, till we get something bigger.
Yes, I knew. Matter of fact, Nancy's over there visiting with Jinx this morning.
Anything up?
Apparently, Jinx wanted some advice on housekeeping or some related domestic matter.
Nancy's been a very special friend to Jinx. You both have been. We're very lucky to have friends like you and the Kavanaughs.
Speaking of friends, when does that hearing on Damien's brutality charge take place?
I don't know. That's up to Captain Valducci. He's in charge of internal affairs.
Oh, yes, Valducci. I've heard about him. A tough cookie, I understand.
They don't come any harder nosed than him. The story is he had a partner for 8 years before finding out that he was on the take.
Uh-oh, that must have stung him badly.
He's come down very hard on every bad cop since. Tyler's not going to have an easy time of this.
That's one of the reasons you wanted to be present, isn't it?
I don't believe these charges for a second. Come on, they're all put up. This is Eddie Lorimer's way of getting back at him.
I agree. Although maybe we both should reserve judgment.
Mike, I'm not going to lose a good cop on a frame-up.
Wow. Now that is beautiful, except I think the color's not quite your shade, buddy.
Oh, very funny.
Yeah, well, where'd it come from? I mean, I didn't think you were interested enough in any woman to go to those lengths.
If you'd listen to me, to what I'm telling you, Eddie Lorimer dumped this thing off at my place.
Hey, you're kidding.
No.
Well, what's the deal?
I don't know. He came by last night and shed a few tears about our old friendship.
What friendship? You mean the time you went undercover?
That's the one he was talking about. That's a bunch of hogwash. Of course, he knew that friendship was phony.
Yeah, well, don't stop now. I'm just getting interested.
Well, Eddie thought that he and I could have been much better friends if things had been a little different. He said he'd like to help me out in this jam I was in with Sammy Wheaton.
But by paying him off with a mink coat?
No, not him, Poppy Johnson.
Eddie's secretary?
Sure. I mean, she's the key to this whole thing. She's the chief witness. She's probably already brought the deposition over to Valducci, saying that I dragged that guy into an alley and beat him to a pulp.
Yeah, but we know she's only functioning on Eddie's orders.
Well, Eddie said maybe I could get her to change her story if I brought her a nice little gift, like this.
Uh-huh. What do you think that guy's really up to, huh?
He probably thinks I'm dumb. I'm sure he thought that I would go over and try to bribe Poppy Johnson.
So that she'd call Valducci and take out a second deposition saying that you tried to shut her mouth with the coat.
I think that's the story, my friends.
Unbelievable. So what are you going to do about it?
What do you think? I'm going to take this coat over and throw it in Eddie's face. I'll get it. Detective Tyler. Gavin, sure, he's here. Just a minute.
Don't tell me. You want to come over and see the joint before you plop down a half a month's rent.
No, that's not it, Calvin. Did you hear anything this morning about a robbery at the Endicott Gallery?
No, not a word. Why do you ask?
Do you remember me telling you about a painting that Jody's mother left her? Well, it was at the Endicott Gallery. They were going to try to find out more about the artist.
So what are you telling me? It's been stolen?
Along with several other paintings, I gather. I'm surprised it hasn't been reported yet.
Well, it could have been. I don't hear every squeal that comes in. But I can ask around for it.
No, listen. Could you handle the case as a favor? It would mean a lot to Jody if we could find out what's happening.
Calvin, come on. Robberies happen every day.
Look, Calvin, this is weird. I mean, just before this guy offered a hell of a lot of money, more than this painting's worth, and all of a sudden it's stolen?
Okay. Just keep your shirt off. Look, if the complaint is in, I will ask to be assigned to it. And, in any event, I'll go over there in a little while.
All right, we'll be there. See you there.
He doesn't know anything, huh?
No, he doesn't know anything. It's just been reported. These things take time.
Why do they have to take my painting? God, does he think there's any chance of catching them?
Look, why don't we go down to the gallery, see what's going on? Come on, everything will work out. You'll see.
I wonder where all this morning. I spent the entire morning looking into all the closets.
And what did you find?
Oh, something very disappointing. Complete order.
Oh, dear.
That's the way I felt. I don't know if it's just Derek or if all bachelors are so neat. But I'll tell you one thing. I am not half as neat as Derek is. You know, Nancy, I hope he doesn't think I'm a terrible housekeeper.
He is incapable of thinking that you're terrible at anything.
Well, I hope he still feels that way in a few weeks. You know, Nancy, I love him very much.
I thought that's why you married him.
Well, people always think that before they get married, but I don't think they really know how they feel until they've really made that commitment.
You know, you may have a point there.
But anyway, I think Derek is wonderful, even if he is very neat. Oh, I didn't tell you about that wonderful dinner he fixed for me the night I was feeling so badly.
You didn't, no.
Well, it was just beautiful. We were all dressed and ready to go out, and I started feeling kind of sick. And in fact, I almost asked him to cancel the reservations. You know, I didn't feel like sitting in a crowded restaurant and everything. But as it turned out, he brought the restaurant to us.
Well, how did he manage that?
Well, he had the whole dinner catered. I mean, right down to the flowers and the candles and waiters and even a violinist. Oh, Nancy, it was the most unforgettable evening in my whole life.
Oh, Jinx. I think I've always known that Derek had that capacity for tenderness, in spite of his reputation for being so tough in the job.
Yeah. Well, I know he really cares about his work, and he really cares about those people he works with. That's why I had to tell him a little white lie.
Oh, what was that?
Well, I told him that I wanted the honeymoon to be over, that I wanted to come home and start our married life together.
But you didn't really want that.
Oh, no, of course not. I wanted the honeymoon to go on forever, but I really didn't think that was fair. I mean, he was so worried, you know, about Damien and everything that was going on here.
That's really very thoughtful of you, Jinx.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was the least I could do. You know, I wish I could think of something else I could do to make him happy. I have such a short time to be a good wife to him. Oh, no. There I go again. At doing just what I said I wasn't going to do. Oh, listen, I promise. I won't ever say anything like that again. Oh, no, excuse me. Hello? Oh, hi, sweetheart.
How you doing? I just called up to see what was going on.
Oh, well, I'm just fine. As a matter of fact, better than ever. Nancy is here visiting, and we're discussing your faults.
Oh, great. That should take a long conversation.
Oh, well, no. As a matter of fact, we've already gotten past your bad points, and now I'm telling her how much I love you. Oh, I think that might take the rest of the day.
Oh, God, I miss you so much. I've only been back to the office for one day, and I already can't wait to get out of here and get home and see you.
I miss you, too. But look, why don't you get back to your work, and I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Well, Mr. Brutality himself.
Hello, Poppy. Is your boss in?
Nope.
Strange. He never seems to be in when I call him.
Beginning to get the idea, honey?
Door's locked. Oh, no keyhole on the outside. It must be locked from the inside.
Look, he can't be disturbed.
Well, why don't you disturb him and tell him that I have a present for him?
Mr. Lorimer is getting ready to tour the plant now.
Oh, really? I didn't know Eddie even knew there was a plant out there.
He tours it every morning at 10.
Well, why don't you give him a call and tell him his good friend, Detective Tyler, would like to take a tour of the plant with him?
Are you kidding me?
No. Hey, look, Eddie came over to my place last night. We decided to bury the hatchet. Now, why don't you phone him?
I can't do that.
Tell him it's police business.
I know you're not a cop anymore.
Tell him I have something to give him. Just do it.
Mr. Lorimer, it's that man Tyler again. He says he has something for you. He wants to talk to you.
Thank you. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
Tyler, baby, how are you? You come here to take my advice?
Oh, well, which advice? You give me so much.
You know, what we talked about making nice with Poppy in there.
Say, Eddie, I tell you what, why don't you come out here and we'll talk.
Oh, my God! A mink!
Look, would you put that down?
Oh, how I love mink. I wanted a coat like this all my life.
Honey, will you please take this coat off and put it away?
Oh, let me wear it just for a little while.
The coat off?
It was pure shock, Mr. Stoner. That's why my daughter didn't call the police at once.
I've never been robbed before. I didn't know that burglars were interested in art galleries.
Yes, well, it's apparent that you have several very valuable paintings here.
Well, very valuable indeed. We carry an insurance premium that's pretty staggering.
Well, the last one that we sold was priced at, what, $30,000?
Yeah, well, theft of art is not all that unusual, as you probably know. As a matter of fact, it's been on the increase lately.
I suppose that means that criminals are becoming more cultured?
I don't find that very comforting.
But you still don't have an exact list of exactly what's missing.
Now, there won't be any way to know without a complete inventory.
But you're fairly sure about the particular portrait that I mentioned to you?
Oh, there's no question about that. You see, the portrait hadn't been hung. It was right here. We were expecting an art expert this afternoon who was going to give us his opinion on the painting.
I see. And you're absolutely sure there's no chance that it could be someplace around?
Detective, it's gone. We feel dreadful about it, but that's just the truth.
Hi, we got here as soon as we could.
Jody. Gavin.
I'm so sorry.
Judy, I do hope you know how terribly upset we are about this. It's the first time we've ever had a robbery.
And it had to be Jody's painting that was taken?
Oh, well, it wasn't just Jody's. There are 3 others missing for sure, and some we don't even know about.
Calvin, do the police know anything?
All we know for now is that it's a professional job.
Are you sure? I mean, how do you know?
Well, when you've seen a couple of 100 burglaries, you get to know the pros from the amateurs. This guy was neat as a pin, not even the shadow of a fingerprint left.
Just so awful. I mean, it's almost like losing a person.
Ah, poor Jody. I know exactly how you feel. I felt that way myself about so many paintings, portraits especially. Grace, you recall the Stewart portrait, that lovely girl with the white poodles?
Yes.
I thought you said you'd never been robbed.
This painting was destroyed in a fire. I felt as bad then as Jody does now.
Worse, I should say, considering the value of that painting.
I think the value Jody put on that portrait went beyond money.
Naturally.
See, I really wanted to know where the painting came from, who did it, and who the model was.
Well, who knows? The police may catch the burglar. There is that possibility, isn't there, Mr. Stoner?
What are the chances, Calvin?
Is there any hope at all?
Well, it's impossible to predict, but people who steal art usually try to sell what they steal. If this guy is no exception, there's a good chance we'll find him.
One thing, Jody. As we told Detective Stoner, the gallery carries a substantial insurance policy.
That won't bring the portrait back, now will it?
No, it won't, but at least we know that we will be compensated for our losses.
Let me ask you something about that, if I may.
Please, go ahead.
Does that include Jody's portrait? I mean, it wasn't a possession of the gallery. It wasn't here on consignment to be sold, was it?
A good question. Unfortunately, I'm not a good enough businessman to give you the answer.
Well, Jody, whatever the insurance policy reads, we will see that you are compensated.
No, I don't want to talk about money. That's not really the point.
No, it isn't. I completely understand, and I'm very, very sorry, dear.
No, I understand, Mr. Endicott. It's not your fault. Unfortunately, apologies don't help right now.
How about that? Am I not a mental giant when it comes to pulling off a scam? Now, come on, tell me, huh? I'll tell you one thing. This little piece of film is going to put the last nail in Tyler's little coffin, I'll guarantee you.
You're really spending a lot of time on this, aren't you, Eddie? Too much time, maybe?
I like to do things right.
Yeah, well, you might have got him suspended without all this, you know?
I'm a very creative guy. I like to do things with a lot of imagination. You know what I'm saying? And right now, I got to do something that requires absolutely no imagination whatsoever. I got to make a tour of the plant.
If you don't enjoy it, then why do you do it?
I got to do it. Those bananas out there will steal me blind if I don't pop in once in a while and, you know, just look things over.
Maybe they just work when they know you're coming around, Eddie. Did you ever think of that?
That's a very good point. Very good, Red, very good. I may have to alter my times a little bit so they don't know when I'm coming around. I got to go. One other thing about this coat.
Yes?
Looks terrific on you.
Oh.
Do me a favor, will you? Bring it back where you got it.
Whatever you say.
easy, Vince. Stay calm down. You don't have to work so hard. You live a lot longer. There's only one problem. You ain't gonna be working so long either. Keep the garbage moving, you donkey. Keep it moving.